What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Chasing 100 Now podcast. Now, Shaq, today we're going to talk about something that you see all over social media, all over the media in general. Tons of people are talking about it, and that is trauma. Okay, we're going to talk about trauma today, the different types, and maybe some things to help people get over them. Okay, now let's start off today, Shaq, I'm going to ask you, what is trauma? How do you define it?
Trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. There are two types of traumas. There's the big T traumas. These are huge, such as murder of a parent, genocide, sexual assault, extreme poverty. I think there's one. Any more?
Yeah. No, I mean just being in a war zone.
Yeah, being in a war zone, basically. Now, we're not going to cover these because they're out of our expertise. We're coaches. This is something you need to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist for.
Yeah, if you're still dealing with that stuff, you definitely need to go see someone.
Like, for example, in my own experience, I'm really good at what I do. In fact, I'm the best at getting anybody into shape, both physically and mentally. But I sometimes have clients say to me, hey, I have this niece who has bulimia. I have this niece that has anorexia. I cannot touch that. That is something that you need to see a licensed professional to deal with. This is something not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, and that's kind of the difference, and something to explain to the audience is the difference between therapy and coaching, right? So therapists dig into the past. Yeah. They really want to help you understand and deal with and address the past so that your present state can be better, okay? Sense, yeah. Whereas coaches, we may look at the past.
We touch on the past a little bit.
Just so we can understand the person, but our focus is where are you now and where do you want to go? And we help them get there.
Absolutely.
Right? So therapists are more about the past, we're more about the future. Okay? So that's why we want to say up front, some of this is beyond our scope, and we're making that clear right from the beginning.
And we're not even going to touch those subjects for that reason.
So, but we are going to talk about the other category of traumas, which is?
For example, if you were made fun of in school.
Yeah, I mean, growing up as a brown guy, a brown kid, and a non-Latino brown kid, especially in America in the 80s and early 90s, you got plenty of made fun of.
Yeah.
They couldn't say my name, right? Which is odd because it's a simple name, Adnan.
It's very simple. Yeah.
It's 2 syllables. Adnan. Very simple. But anyway, so they'd call me oddball. I'm glad you like that one. I see you like that a lot.
I've known this guy so long, I never even thought of that. Kids are really creative. They're really good at this stuff.
Yeah, they're very good, I gotta admit. And then they couldn't say my last name, Jalali. Or they would, but they would add something to it, made a song out of it. They're like, hey, Jalali Pop, Jalali Pop. They'd even do the end of it. They'd be like, Jalali Pop. Boom, 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 like that. Yeah. This is like a little kid stuff, like elementary. But to be honest with you, Shaq, we grew up in the era, for those of you who are similar in our age group, we grew up in an era where you just kind of got over stuff. It was like normal. It's like, okay, yeah, haha, you made fun of me, I make fun of you, haha, and we move on, right? It's not like today. You get made fun of, you have to go to the therapist, you gotta get medication.
So I think before, we're not gonna poo-poo the old days we were so much better, but I think things are magnified now through social media. Exactly. We didn't have that before. Now, if 10,000 kids, or God forbid, it went viral, the lollipop thing, it might affect you. So things are different now.
Yeah, I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying that our generation, I think, we understood that we had to deal with some of this stuff. It was just part of life.
Correct.
Yeah. What's another one? What's another small T trauma?
Issues with parents, nothing serious, but just issues with parents. And I'll give my own example. For example, my dad was a very good man, but he never really told me I was good enough. He always compared me to other people he shouldn't have been comparing me to.
That were, quote unquote, better than you.
Yeah, of course. I was a piece of garbage. I was never good. But luckily I had that same attitude. I used to laugh at it, but it wasn't without an effect on me, because Adnan remembers, my whole thing was I would make fun of people. I would destroy them. And I actually believe at the time, I just wanted to see people laugh. But now I look back, I was doing this because I wanted to take out my hurt on other people. Yeah. And that's really why I did it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing, right? Hurt people, hurt people.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. Yeah. Another one, Shaq, is difficulties in relationships.
That's huge. Yeah.
Like I've been, I've been through,
Your share.
through my without going into too much detail.
But you're always the victim. I don't believe in victim mentality, but in his case, he actually was.
No. To be honest with you, I do blame me because I didn't deal with it properly. I didn't know how to deal with it. I just, it was so new to me, and I thought putting up with it was being a good man, right? I didn't know how to nip it in the bud and say, hey, look, this is unacceptable. You can leave, right? Like either you change your behavior or bye. Right, I was trying to be patient, put up with it, deal with it, try to help her.
Now, why do you think that happened? Right. Why did you put up with it? Because a lot of people, from the start, they won't put up with it.
I wanted to help her. I genuinely loved her. I wanted her to be better. But the problem is if the other person is unwilling, she was like that type of, like she wouldn't hear it. Right. So as soon as now it's like, I would never put up with that. I would be like, look, this is an issue. Are you
willing to work on it?
Are we willing to work on it? No? Okay. Good luck to you. I wish you the best, So that could cause definitely some trauma. And if you don't address it, then it can linger into your future relationships. Absolutely. It's like that PTSD, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Once you see a little bit of that behavior from someone else, like,
it comes right back.
Okay, bye, I gotta go, No, it's not, you gotta.
But the thing about that is, and this is pretty crazy, if you've been treated badly by somebody, and this is like your pattern in relationships, until the new person treats you badly, you don't feel like things are right. As crazy as it sounds. That's why people always they always date the wrong kind of people, because even though it's not a good feeling, it's just what they're used to. So when someone comes along and treats them really well, even though they don't know how to act, it's strange to them, and they'd rather be with the feeling of comfort of, I'm used to this, as opposed to something strange, even if it's better.
That's why trauma has to get addressed.
Absolutely correct.
You have to address the pain. For me, like when I ended that relationship, I had to address the pain. Right. Like, I'm not too macho to say, I had to cry. I had to, I had to get over it. It's like, you know what, man? Hey, you know what? It's painful. I understand it's painful, but I'm going to learn from this and I'm going to get better. And I'm never going to go through this again.
That's the key, is never go through it again, yeah.
Exactly. So, Shaq, what are some, we've started talking about this, but I want you to go a little deeper. What are some problems that unaddressed trauma causes?
So let's start with the one we all know about, is Donald Trump. Now, we are not any political affiliation, but
we're not right or left.
Yeah, so the thing with Donald Trump is, if you don't know this, his dad was a psychopath. He was extremely mean. He demeaned, destroyed his children. He destroyed people in business. So that's kind of why Donald Trump talks the way he does. It's not necessarily even him doing it on purpose. It's his subconscious. That's why he's like, I'm the best. There's no one's ever done it like me. Because he keeps trying to prove that he's good enough, because his father constantly told him he wasn't good enough. And like some people ask, well, how can you have a bad household and one kid turns out fine and one kid turns out to be a psychopath? Well, here's the thing. If the one kid who turned out fine, it's because he's gone through some sort of meditation, he's learned to deal with his issues, and he's become this new person. That's great. But if he's holding back emotions, holding back anger, understand one day you're going to explode. It's not going to be good. But even in Donald Trump's case, right, the way he turned out, right, his brother ended up drinking himself to death. So, same household, one person, neither of them dealt.
And kind of shifted it into, kind of controlling behavior, right? Or like commanding behavior. The other one took it into self-destructive behavior. But both are bad.
Absolutely, they're both terrible. They're both terrible, yeah.
But that reminds me of another celebrity that we all witnessed a couple years ago who just lost his shit, was Will Smith.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Right? Bro, I still to this day, like, you don't know how wild that is. the most exclusive, top of the top event that exists in the world.
Pretty much.
The fanciest who's who of whatever, right? One of them, right? The guy walks up in front of everyone and slaps the shit out of his friend. Can you imagine how much he was holding in for him to react like that?
Well, it's not
My God.
it's not only him to react like that. This guy had been famous since he was like 15 years old. So the amount of process he knows how to deal with the media, how to always say the right thing.
Polished guy.
A polished. It's not like you and me going crazy. That'd be one thing. But a guy that polished,
Trained.
how much trauma must this guy have inside of him
Been holding on
to do that at the in knowing he did irreparable damage to his career. I don't look at him the same ever.
No one does. You can't. You can't. After that, in front of the whole world, and then to just sit like a maniac and shouting. He's like a maniac, bro. Get my wife's name out your, like, bro, are you Will Smith? Are you like some hood gangster? You know what I'm saying? Like, what in the world, bro? Like,
And he's not a gangster.
that's what trauma does, right? It brings out the worst in people if it's not addressed.
Yeah, it wasn't addressed, obviously. Yeah.
So, Shaq, let's talk about what are some things people can do to kind of, again, we're not therapists, guys. This is a coaching perspective, which is let's look to the future, okay? We're not here we can't address the heavy weighted, tough pasts, but we can help you shape your future. So in terms of unaddressed trauma, what can people do to kind of get past it?
Okay, so the one thing I've seen is in order to get past this, you need to stop blaming yourself. So the thing is with trauma, a lot of times, even though you're not at fault, you still get these feelings of shame and guilt. Understand, if you've been a victim of trauma, I don't care what it was or how old you were, it is not your fault, okay? And when these feelings of shame and guilt come up, something simple you can do is just think of 2 positive things about yourself. And if you're in such a disheveled state where you can't think of it, ask someone else, what are 2 things you like about me? And every time these feelings come up, you automatically pop those things in your head, say it in your head or say it out loud. These 2 positive thoughts about yourself. If this happens enough times, those positive thoughts will be part of your subconscious and we will get rid of this shame and guilt that you should never have in the first place.
That's great advice. That's great advice.
Another thing along with that is just show yourself the empathy and kindness you would show someone else. A lot of us are really good at showing empathy and kindness to other people, but we never show it to ourselves. And this is really important if you've experienced trauma. You have to be kind to yourself. Act like you're talking to someone that you really want to help. That person is you.
That's great advice. Great advice. I think another thing they can do, Shaq, is forgive. Right? And not for the other person.
Never is. For yourself.
It's for myself, right? It's for yourself. So for example, my ex, who basically, anyway, had to go through a lot of drama with her, and, lost a ton of money and blah, 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 et cetera, a lot of stuff, right? Really mistreated me, right? Even her, I had to forgive her to move on. Now, that doesn't take away from what she did, but I forgive her because I don't want to carry on that grudge, right? Holding grudges, it's a weight on me, right? So if I still think about her and still think about what she did to me and act like the victim, right? Then I'm going to be holding on to baggage unnecessarily. When I can just say, you know what? I forgive you. Live your life. I'm going to live mine.
Pass with gratitude. It made you who you are today.
Exactly. And that's a big message I wanted to send to everybody is everyone who hurt you, everyone who did you wrong, everyone who screwed you over in business like they have with us as business owners. Everyone who did that, guys, it happened to make you better. It happened to make us stronger, to make us wiser, to make better decisions, to avoid those people in the future. If that would have never happened, we could have never avoided these people in the future, right? So I'm grateful for all of it. Even the pain, I'm grateful for
we
it.
always talk about, if you were to build a perfect person, would you want them to go through absolutely no trials and tribulations, or would you want to put them through some stuff? Of course, you put them through some stuff to make them a strong person.
Exactly. Otherwise,
yeah. First hint of anything, they're going to fall apart.
that's it. That's it. And that's all this stuff just makes us stronger, man. It makes us who we are, right? So, but it's important to forgive. I think it's very important to forgive, to let go of that baggage. I like to live light. I don't want to walk around carrying 100 pounds on my shoulders. No, I want to live free and light. And that means, you know what? Anyone who did me wrong, forgive.
So another thing people with trauma should do is develop a routine. So things when you have trauma brings instability. So we got to do everything to bring stability to our lives, and developing a routine is a great idea. Like me personally, right? I go for a walk every morning, okay? This is something I do no matter what. And you have to be consistent with this. So once you start doing this, it will start bringing stability in your life. Even being outdoors. Try to be outdoors every day for even 10, 15 minutes. You'll notice, I mean, first of all, science backs this up, but even you'll notice without the science, you'll feel much better being one with nature. And like I always tell Nan, I can tell within 10 minutes of meeting someone whether they spend time outside or not. If you live in the dark or you're constantly in office buildings and stuff, you will just not have that overall bright demeanor that you can only get from being one with nature.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a great point. I never thought about that. That trauma leads to instability. So you have to create a life of stability. Wow, that's great. That's great advice, bro.
You got another one, right?
Yeah, so the last thing I would say, Shaq, is to be present and future focused, right? The past is the past, man. We cannot change the past. We can't. As much as I would love to relive moments, behave better myself, not put up with other people's shitty behavior, I can't do it. It's done. It's gone. So my mind is always, what am I doing today? What do I want to do in the future? That's it. That's my sole focus. So guys, to get over trauma, and to really build that future that you want, chase your 100, focus on present and future. The past happened. It happened because of God willed it to happen.
Learn from it.
And I accept it. I learned from it. I've gotten better out of it. And that's it. Now and tomorrow. That's where my mind is. That's where my focus is. So thanks for watching the episode. I hope it helps. Please share with people you think it could help.
Yeah, like, share, and subscribe. The only way we can keep this going is you guys keep supporting us. You guys have been doing a great job so far, so keep it up. If you have any questions, please message us on YouTube.
All right, guys. Keep chasing your 100.
See you next time.